Good morning. Hello, happy Saturday, everyone. I've been away for a week, so I've missed you all. Well, I say I've been away. Just had a week off. Didn't manage to go anywhere, but hey ho. Hope you are all doing okay. I'm going to show you an introduction into brick stitch today. So it's a form of weaving using seed beads, and you can create some really lovely shapes, little motifs, lots of different uses for them. I'm going to show them on bookmarks today. So I'll show you the category in a moment so that you can go and grab some goodies. But we sell these really lovely metal shape bookmarks that are just hooked on. You can hook them over a page or over the edge of your books. And I'm going to show you how to add a little handmade element to them. So most of the time you see them and they just have beads hanging off of them, which is still really nice. But I thought the seed bead weaving is something that we know you will really enjoy. So I shall show you brick stitch today. Good morning, Paula. Hi, Gwen, Janet, Jan. From a sunny Weston-super-Mare today, Jan. Yeah, it's really sunny here in Lincolnshire, actually. I've got leggings and a jumper on, and I'm actually roasting. I haven't been out yet, so I wasn't too sure how warm it is. Good morning, Camille. Hi, Margaret, Jane, Pamela, Alison, Betty, Dorothy. I've missed you all. I hope you've had a really good week. Good morning, Dean. Like I said, I had a week off, went and visited my parents, which was really nice. Unfortunately, we did have John's grandma's funeral as well. So it's been a funny old week, but back into the normal swing of things now. So you're going to have me tomorrow as well. When we're going to be using some gem duos. So I'm going to show you very quickly where to go and get your free download from today. So see if I can remember how to do this. Let's get the page up. Okay, so onto our Facebook page. Obviously down on the side you've got categories and you've got Facebook tutorials. That's going to take you to all of our sections that you can go and have a look at brick stitch charms today. So you've got a free download. I'm going to show you this in a moment. It is a grid form so that you can design your own you can sketch out your own designs, you can make your own little motifs and shapes. And then we've got all of the bookmarks in here. Some of them are really fun. There's dolphins, daisies, dragons, feathers, mermaids, you name it, we've got them in there. And there are some plain ones as well. Now the beads I'm going to be using today, I'm going to show you how important this is in some of the pieces that I've made. But we're actually using a size 8 Toho seed bead, and we had some beautiful kits that Kitty put together that we used for ombre herringbone. So if you go for some of these sets, they're from $14.99 down to $9.99. You're going to get this beautiful ombre colour, so you've got 5 colours in there. And that is going to give you all of the beads that you need to achieve a really high finish on your brick stitch. And this is your grid sheet. So brick stitch, as the name would suggest, it's going to line up all of your beads in a brick formation, and then we're going to just colour in, make some little designs. I'll show you what I've been busy with, and then I will show you how to weave them all as well. So this is the one that I'm going to show you today. It's a nice simple one to start with because it's very uniformed. It's just a nice little pattern. You can use these to make brooches, you could make earrings, you could make little charms to add on to anything. Obviously the bookmarks just make really good gifts, so I thought it would be a nice one. Now that we are perhaps beginning to think about Christmas, you can put these onto cards as well if any of you are paper crafters. It's a really nice way of using your beads to actually just make little handmade motifs. This one I made into a little seashell and put a pearl on there. It probably looks a bit more like a maple leaf looking at it there. But a nice little seashell. I've put a freshwater pearl on there for the little mermaid. I thought that was quite fun. And then of course with the dragon, I had to do a flame coming out of his mouth. Now, the importance of the beads that you're going to be using, I can show you here. We talk about RFGB beads. They are a little middle of the road bead, really nice quality, not as expensive as Toho's or Miyuki's, but also the quality is better than a craft bead. So here, the red and the orange that I have used are our FGB beads. You can see how beautifully they sit and they are quite uniformed. The yellow that I put in here is a craft seed bead, and you can see how that really affects your weave. They are a little bit wonky, they don't quite sit right. So when you are doing weaves like this, it's really important to have a good quality bead. So as you can see there, that's the difference between the two. I just thought I'd throw it. It really annoyed me making it because I wasn't happy with the yellow beads, but I thought I'm gonna do it. I'll sacrifice it just to show you. And there you can see the importance of having a good quality bead for your weave. The seashell was made out of a size 11 Toho, so a bit smaller. I wanted to go with the size 8s this morning because it's going to be easier for you guys to see. But you can see you could even go down to 15s. Once you get comfortable with the stitch and where you're going, then that's going to be a good one to start working your way down towards. And then of course the 8s are a great place to start. Plus it just gives you a little bit more substantial. Elizabeth says, FGB, Sarah. FGB are our fancy glass beads. That is what the brand of the seed bead are called, and that will give you quite a good finish. But I really would recommend, if you are going for Toho, if you are going for weaving, you go for the Toho. So we have the lovely bundles in there today. Okay, so when you get your brick stitch weave, your little grid sheet, this is what it's going to look like. Jodie says, is it important to notice that both sides are the same, or top or bottom? Is that on the grid sheet or on when you're following the pattern? It does get a little bit tricky because you are going to have to work out what's top, what's bottom, what's left, what's right as we start to weave through. Just take some of your pens. I am going to, I think I'll probably do the same as the flower with this one. So I'm going to go for, should we switch it round? Let's do separate purples and pinks. Okay, I'm going to go for a purple border. So I'm just going to take my pens, and you can just start to colour in. And this is going to give you, and I'm not going to be too OCD with this. I'm just going to go really quick. This is just going to give us a nice little pattern to follow. So you can start colouring in and working out exactly what kind of shapes you'd like to make. Kitty has made this extra large so that you can see exactly what pattern you're going to create. It's a nice big size, and because it's the free download, you can just download it several times, keep on going, filling it all up, print it off again, and you'll be able to use it over and over again. Oh, Jodie says the end result. No, Jodie, it's actually, I'll flip it round for you in a minute as well so that you can have a little look. So I'm just going to create this little border all the way around the outside. I'm going 5 beads along, 5 beads down. That I found actually gave me the best little result when it came to sort of size for my bookmark. So let's go 5 along and 5 down. This will be my purple. And use the same colour pens as the beads that you're using. That's going to make it nice and simple. Let's go for a flower in the very middle. So I'm going to go yellow in the centre of my flower. I'm going to go purple around the outside of my flower just to bring in some of that colour. And this is going to become your template when you are beading. When they're so big, it's actually really annoying me. I'm not colouring it in beautifully. Thank you for the free download, says Patricia. You are more than welcome. Hi, good morning, Sue. Hi, Doris. Says, long time no see. Where have you been? You are missed. Oh, thank you so much. I had just had a week off with the family. Didn't manage to go anywhere. Did manage to go down and see my parents, which was really nice. So I actually had 4 or 5 days with them nearly. Caught up with my nephews. Little top up on normality, few breakfasts and meals out with hubby, so that was nice. Okay, there we go. So there's my little pattern. This is going to give us the lovely little motif that we'll put onto the bookmark. So it's really nice and easy. And then what you can also do is create various different shapes. If I show you, let's have a little look. Here is the flame and the shell that I had. So there's my shell. There is the flame. So I tend to kind of draw around an outside shape. The black mark is a bead that I decided not to add in, so I knew to miss that out in my pattern. And you can start having lots of fun. Hearts, I'm hoping nearer towards Christmas, because I've done little I've done little Christmas puddings, I've done Christmas trees, I've done reindeer, all using this brick stitch. So I want to do it and teach you now so that hopefully as the year progresses, we can move on to some really nice fancy bits and pieces. Okay, so getting started, we're going to start with a ladder stitch, and I'm going to start down the very middle of my pattern. So with brick stitch, I always find it easier to do your largest row first. That is going to give you your main frame to work from. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 beads in a ladder stitch formation. So I'm going to start at the bottom. So I'm going to add on a purple and a pink. You will begin with 2 of your beads. Bring these down. I've just got a nice little length of thread here. It's about an arm span. It's what I'm most comfortable working with. You don't need loads for these, but an arm span, I know I'm going to have enough to work with. So a ladder stitch, I've taken my 2 beads. I'm going to come back up through my first bead in the same direction. And what you will notice is that sits the beads next to each other. And then you're going to take your thread and go back down the bead you've just added on. And that is going to position me ready to add the next one. So as you can see from the pattern, it's another pink. Pick that bead up. Come through the bead in the opposite direction, so you're always looping it on. When I pull that down, oh, thank you so much, Camille. When I pull that down, it's going to sit the bead again next to it, and to position myself for the next one, I'm going to come back up through the bead I've just added, because that's now going to position me ready for my next. So you can see I'm holding them on my index finger. As I'm adding them, I'm holding them with my thumb. Next in the pattern is a purple. So I'm going to, exiting from the top, so I'm going to come up through the bottom. Oh, Chris says, sunny morning from a local locked down Pontypridd. Pontypridd? Hope I said that properly. Oh, stay safe. I hope you're all doing okay. Certainly sounds like there's going to be more of us in the same situation soon. Now, don't worry that they start to go a little bit higgledy-piggledy, okay? It's just your tension, and I'm going to show you how to perfect that when we finish this row. So next in the pattern, and I hope you can see the bit that I'm following. So if I sit this here, I've gone purple, pink, pink, purple. So my next one is a yellow. And you can see the tension's going to be a bit all over the place, but we will perfect it in my next run. So adding this on, again, up through the same bead. Next one in the pattern is a purple. Picking up a purple. Whoop. I'm exiting from the top, so I'm going up through the bottom, linking that on, and then down through the bead that I've just added, ready to position myself for the next one. And then we've got a run of 2 pinks. And you can see I'm just moving it ever so slightly down my finger, holding them all in position because it will keep a rough tension for me. Holding them in between my index finger and my thumb, I'm just kind of squeezing them quite loosely. And then last one is a purple. And then that's my whole run. So this ladder stitch is now my base foundation that I can work from. So that is my middle row. And now to neaten all of this up, because precision with this is really important. You want it to be as neat as possible. I'm now, morning Sarah, a bit like cross stitch, says Janet. The technique when we get going will be different, but I guess you get a similar end result. Sarah, I know you're working on brick stitch, but I love and prefer peyote, find it much easier. Doris, hopefully today I'll change your opinion. You'll see how easy it is. So we're going to bring this back down now. I'm just going to run all the way back through the beads. So I'm just zigzagging through, up, down, to tighten it all up. I think the great thing with peyote is that you get some beautiful results, but the pattern and the way the beads sit are completely different. So with a brick stitch, your beads are not interlocked together. They sit flush next to each other. So for some shapes, for some patterns, even for some jewellery, it's a lot easier. So it gives you more of a loomed effect. With peyote, your beads are actually all interlinked. So with something like brick stitch, it gives you straight lines. So if you wanted to create squares, Pontypridd is how you say it. Whoops, sorry. Silent D's. You were right the first time. I know it sounded familiar, but when I'm reading it, I'm thinking there's D's in there. I don't know of it with D's. It's different when you see it written down, isn't it? So with brick stitch, it's going to give you straight lines, which means some shapes like squares, rectangles. If you want to do very geometric shapes, then it's going to give you a different finish. So I'm going to try and keep myself not so croaky. Okay, so now you can see I've got perfect tension through all of those beads, and now we are ready to start brick stitching. So you could look at this at the moment any way round because my pattern is symmetrical top and bottom. So I'm going to start working away from myself. So we're going to start on the very edge here. And with your first beads, you actually want to be positioned, and this is where your graduation in size you'll need to start thinking about. So my row is coming down. I don't want to be going up, I'm coming down. So I need easy, says Margaret. This is easy, I promise. So my first section is actually going to be on my second bead. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to flip this over so that I am exiting from my second bead. Now with your first row of brick stitch, you will always add 2 beads. First section is 2 beads and then it's 1 from then on in. And I'm going to go over this time and time and time again. I'm sure you'll be sick of the sound of my voice by the end of it. So our first row is 2 beads, which means from my pattern, and I'm working from here, well, from here, if you like. My first one is purple, my second one is pink. So I'm now making my way all the way up through this second row from my largest in the middle. So 1 purple, 1 pink. I'm then going to take my needle underneath this little bridge of thread, which is connecting my second and my third bead. Okay, so underneath here, pulling this down tightly. And what you're going to do is encourage these 2 beads to sit flush on top, like so. And then just hold on to that little tail so that you can come back up through your second bead, like so. And that is all you need to know. It's now a pattern and step repeat. I'm just going to keep this tail out of the way so it doesn't get caught up. So my third bead is a pink one. Pick up a pink. And we're going to go underneath the bridge. So remember I said the first step is always 2 beads. From then on in it's 1. So 1 bead underneath that little bridge of thread. Pull it through. Hold on to the tail of your thread, which will keep your tension. If you don't hold on to that and you try and go through this bead, it's going to start moving and it's very frustrating. So keep hold of that, which will hold the bead into position, and you come back up through. Like so. And now you can see that my beads are sitting beautifully flush next to each other, on top in a sort of grid and brick-like formation, and my pattern is coming together. 4th bead along is purple, so we're going to pick up a purple. Holding that tail out of the way, underneath that little bridge of thread, bringing it down, holding that tail, back up through the bead. So you can see it's actually going to come together quite quickly and it takes shape. It's really lovely to watch it grow. And because it's a pattern repeat, it's just the same step over and over again. All that's changing is, of course, the beads that you pick up from your pattern. And then when we get to the end of this, I'm going to show you how to step up into your next row. Like so. So when you're doing things like peyote, obviously they will, get off. When you're doing things like peyote, they will interlock in together. Here, you're actually sitting them on top of each other. So they all serve their purpose. Very different finished results. And then my last one in this row is a purple. So my last one, and I've got that last little bridge to fill underneath, pulling it through, holding that tail down so that it will position the bead and up through. So now you can see I've got, it's really lovely to see it come together. You've got that second row as well. Carol says, sorry, Sarah, my brain is in OCD mode. I would have to turn my pattern on its side to follow it. Oh, like this? Yeah, there you go. You could do it like that as well. I just know I've made this pattern already, so I am following it. You know, it's whatever works for you. I know that a lot of people also like to take, I don't know, it might be a piece of paper or a pen or something just to cover up the next row that you're working on. So you can see I've done my first row onto my second. Now we're on to the last as well. Okay, and then that way that will help you focus on it as well. It's your pattern, your sheet, so you can hold it however you like. The great thing is with this one, of course, that it's symmetrical all the way round. So it doesn't matter whether I go top, bottom, left, right, it's going to be the same thing. Okay, so I'm now working on my third row. So again, I'm exiting from my last bead, but remember, because we're doing a decrease in size and position, I want to be exiting from my pink bead, not my purple. So I'm going to do a little bit of a funky turn. We're going to take our needle without any bead underneath the bridge, just like we did when we added a bead. That's kind of given me almost a little knot. It's then positioned that purple bead in place. I'm going to come down through the purple and go up through the pink. So by looping that thread on, I've actually managed to hide my thread path, turn around, come back up, and now it's going to be exiting from the pink, which is the perfect place. And then we're going to start our next row of beads. So again, remember, first time, we're always going to add on 2 beads, first step. So we're going to go underneath the thread path for the bead that I am exiting from, and just encourage these beads to sit, oh no, I didn't pierce the thread. Sitting, then you can see how you get that lovely graduation down on the outside. We're just stepping down, hold that thread and pulling up. And then this row is a really nice easy one because it's just pinks all the way to the end. So again, underneath, holding that thread, and you can see with my leftover fingers, oh, someone laughed, I can't remember who it was that laughed at me when I said my leftover fingers. I'm only using my index finger and my thumb to hold everything, so I've got spare fingers. So these spare fingers are just grabbing onto that thread every time, sometimes not too tightly, which helps position that bead ready to pull it through. And then I'm going to show you, once we've done this row, on the other side, I'm going to show you how to decrease some of that sizing as well. So your tension is quite important because of course you want it sitting as neat as possible. And what I do is, just as I'm working, I kind of roll the beads in between my index finger and my thumb. Oh, Helen says she's made a rainbow using brick stitch. That's lovely. I'd love to see a picture of that. It's a really nice technique to use. It is super easy once you get your head around the actual steps, which are very easy to follow. And of course, start off with a nice simple pattern, just like this flower, and have a little play. You can make any shape, any patterns. Just use your pens, your colouring pencils to start bricking it in on the grid sheet, which of course is your free download today. Remember that as well. So you can see that because I'm using a Toho bead, they sit beautifully. Size 8 is a great one to start with. So I'm just going to flip this around so that I can position myself for my next row again. Getting that tail out of the way. And then to do my little funky turn for my last row, underneath, get out the way, underneath that thread, pulling it nice and tightly. And when I come back down through this bead, I don't pull it so tightly that that thread comes down into the bead. Just loose enough. You see, if you pull it tightly, it's going to pop it up out of position. So you don't want it too tight. As we pull that in, it's going to keep nice and straight. And if you find that these beads on the outside are loose, you can actually run your needle up through them after the end. Oh, Margaret says, dropped my daughter at University of Nottingham 10 years ago. She did her first and second degree. She then moved to University of Sheffield and completed her doctorate. Wow. She's a lecturer in English and back at University of Nottingham. Oh, fantastic. Proud mummy moment for you, Margaret. Okay, so I'm coming out of my pink bead here, and my last little row, oh no, I've got one more row to do before I do all my purples. So again, my last one, because it's my first set of beads, always 2, underneath that thread path, pulling them through, allowing them to sit nice and flush, holding onto that thread, and up we go. So as you can see, you're going to get more used to it as you build and as you grow. How you hold it is entirely up to you. Some people like to work vertically, but I actually find that's harder to hold onto the threads. So I like to do it horizontally. Hence, you might want to move that pattern so that you also have a horizontal pattern. That's not a problem. I'm just trying to do it so you can see it in the actual camera as well, so you can see what I'm following. And then my last little row here is my purple, so that it's going to give me that lovely edging around the outside. So you can see if you were to do this with irregular beads, the result just isn't going to be the same. It's just like if you were building a brick wall. You need them all to be the same shape, the same size. Cheryl says, how do I download the Brick Stitch pattern sheet? So if you go onto our website, go to our Facebook categories, and that's a free download today. So you just pop that into your basket. When you check out, hopefully you'll pick up some beads and your bookmarks, everything at the same time. When you check out everything, that's going to then be emailed through to you. So you'll have that so that you can create your own little designs as well. And again, last one, so I need to turn around. So I'm going to take my thread underneath, back through that last bead, turn it around and back up. And now my last row, as you can see on here, is just all purple beads all the way down the outside. Again, starting stitch, so you're going to pick up 2. And you'll see that the reason we go down 1 bead is because when you sit them, it's then going to just slightly give you that little incline into the pattern. If you were to add them on the final bead, you would end up going all the way along. So you'd see you'd have like a little zigzag row, which is great for some patterns. I actually do that a lot with the Christmas trees. Oh, and with the Christmas pudding. I'm going to do all of these for you in the next few weeks or so. And then this is my final row. Up we go. There we are, all the way through. So now you can see it's just going to be a pattern repeat on the other side. I think it's beautiful when it comes together. You can see just how you bring your flat design up to reality and bringing it together in the beads. Elizabeth, Sarah, this is great. I've been struggling with a pattern for a Jack Russell Terrier. That sounds awesome. That I want to make my daughter. I think I may be able to do it now. Thank you. You are more than welcome. Now, as we get more intricate, remember I've said this is an introduction to Brick Stitch today. So this is a super simple pattern to begin with. Now I'm just going to start coming through and work my way through as I talk to you because I want to position myself coming out of the pink bead because we're basically going to repeat all of that again. So I'm going to take my needle and just coming through my thread path that I've already got. So you can see I'm just stepping up through each bead that interlocks on. So my thread is actually going to completely disappear into my beads. Like so, until I get to the top where I can then come down the next bead. Oh, please don't knot. Naughty threads. Need to get that tail out of the way. Ready to position up to the next one. Now it doesn't matter if on your pattern that's a little bit more intricate, you can weave through, zigzag through all sorts of thread paths just so long as it's hidden, and then you want to end up coming out of your second bead ready to do those. Now with more complicated patterns, and they will be coming up, I will do lots more for you, and things like the seashells, you actually need to step back, you need to miss some beads. I'm going to show you how to do that on the very edge of one of these. I'll go wrong on this pattern, but it's fine because I want to be able to teach you. So now we're going to do the same thing again. So remember, first row, 2 beads always, going underneath that thread path, and it really is easy, especially if you're using the right beads. So I am using Toho. I've got these in a size 8, which is obviously a great one to start with as well because it is just that little bit bigger. Saves you going cross-eyed and being all fingers and thumbs trying to hold things in the right position. You can, of course, then move down to smaller beads. And of course, using Toho is going to give you a lovely effect. Brick Stitch is also beautiful with Delica beads because they really do. They're just a little bit squarer than your seed beads. So they really do just sit absolutely beautifully and held into place. So with your more intricate patterns, you want to make sure that you've just mastered the basics. You know where you're going, how your beads will sit, your tension, getting into the grasp of it basically, underneath and up through. And of course, because you've got your grid sheet that you can just print off time and time again, you're going to have that to be able to sketch through. Just save it on your computer when it's emailed through to you, and you can print it off time and time again. I always find that I just sit and sketch for a little while. First of all, you'll begin, purple one. You'll begin to see how the beads will sit, how you know, they're gonna start creating lovely shapes, and then really the possibilities are endless with it. You can do names, numbers. You could use these to embroider onto projects afterwards as well, which is really lovely. Diane says, would love to do a West Highland Terrier for Christmas prezzies for a man who reads a lot. Hi, Antida, saying hello. Debbie says, morning, everyone. Sorry I'm late. Haven't done brick stitch in a while. We'll need to give it a go. It's one of those that, it's just another one that, you know, to add into your arsenal of skills that just comes in handy every now and again. So again, repositioning for these end pieces underneath that thread path. I'm going to go underneath the thread path. Just felt that popped off a little bit, so I'm going to redo that one. Underneath that bead that we have just come out of, and then up onto my pink, and then I am in the position ready to add on my next beads. And of course, remember again, told you you'd get sick of me saying it, first rows are always 2 beads underneath that bridge, locking those into position. Now, they're switcherooing round, so I'm just going to hold on to those, make sure they're in the right position, and up we go. When it comes to, I'm going to do this row just as normal, so I'm going to go all the way along. I'm going to show you how to reposition yourself so that if you are doing something that is much more of an intricate shape, so if you want to do something, did someone just put about a pumpkin? Wanted to do a Halloween lantern earring, but wasn't sure how to do brick stitch. Now I have to have a go. Lovely. So yeah, making a little pumpkin on something like this is going to be really fun because you can actually get some really good, almost like round shapes out of it as well. Do it in a nice orange, colour in the little black details as if you'd carved it. I think that would look really fun. I can't wait for you guys. I wanted to show you the basics, master the skill, and then give you the template so that you can then have hopefully a whale of a time with it. Linda says, what sort of beads do you recommend? Toho, definitely. We have put on the herringbone ombre kits in the Facebook category today because it will give you a whole host of your colours in your size 8 beads. So from $14.99 down to $9.99. Pick your favourite colours, whether it be blues, purples, pinks. I think there's orange in there as well. I think there might even be a monochrome. You've got all of those in there so that you've got a great supply of beads to start working with. And then obviously that is going to give you, if you go... Pat, if you go for the sort of autumnal colours, there is an orange and red in there. That is going to be absolutely perfect for Halloween. That's going to give you some lovely colours in there for your pumpkins. And of course, you just want to make sure you're using the best quality beads that you can when you're learning. In fact, not even when you're learning. All the time with these. I'll show you the flame again in a moment so that I can show you the difference between a Toho and a craftsy bead, so those cheaper beads that you might have lying around from previous projects. You want to make sure that the end result is lovely. Seema, the kits with your seed beads, they are from $14.99 down to $9.99. It is for the ombre herringbone, which means that you will get clasps and extras in there, but you do also get your needle. For something like this, it's just going to give you some really lovely colours. So we thought doing that would be a nice way to get kind of a mass amount of beads for a little bit of a discount too. And then your download grid sheet is free. So just pop that into your basket while you're there. If you're doing things like your bookmarks and everything, pop those in. Okay, so when it comes to more intricate shapes, like the shell that I made. So if you have a little look here, I did it with sort of pearl size 11 seed beads. How do you attach the flower to the bookmark? I've done it with wire, Linda. I'll show you that in a sec. So with the little shell, you can see that I've created a very different shape. So I wanted to, if I show you my little pattern, I've got it on here. I was just playing around. Look, I was trying to do like fish, but I gave up on him. I was going to do a seahorse. You can just start colouring them in, do all sorts. And then I thought, no, I want to do a shell, because then I wanted to put a little pearl onto it as well. So it's a bit like an oyster shell. So this is the shape that I created. So whereby you need to step down and create these little areas of difference, you want to just be able to move through the beads. So for example, if I wanted to come back down, and this is the exact step that I did on the shell. Oliver, I've only just remembered that you were doing this. Is it possible to watch later? Absolutely. When I'm finished, which will probably be in about 15 minutes or so, it will actually be uploaded onto the Totally Beads page, and then that's going to stay there forever. There will also be a link on the Facebook tutorial section on the website as well, so you can then catch up. You can go back to the very beginning and watch it all over again. So if you need to reposition yourself at any time, just take your needles back down and just zigzag through, like I said, moving through that kind of thread path to position yourself ready for the next lot of beads, okay? So you can do that so that you would now be able to pick up any bead in any position, and that's going to kind of take you down more rows. But to begin with, now rather than unthreading my needle, I'm just going to come back. Oh, excellent. Managed to go all the way through. So I'm coming out through my pink bead, ready for my next set. This is the final... Oh, no, one more row to do. And then I'm going to show you how I attached it onto the bookmark as well. So just encouraging those two beads all the way up and through. And you can see that your positioning is going to get better. You will get used to working with the threads. You'll get used to your tension. The great thing is, being a pattern repeat, you're just going to get more and more comfortable with the technique itself. And you can see it really doesn't take long to come together. Now, I've made little hearts before and attached those to little ear posts. You can just glue them or resin them on. I've made little Christmas puddings. I've put things on notebooks. Anyone who's followed me for a while might even remember them. I had little Christmas puddings and little Christmas trees and all sorts. Then I'm just going to rotate this around so that I can finish my last row of the little pattern. Underneath that thread path again, through that bead, and up through my last bead, and then I'm on my final row, which is all my purples, just giving it that edging. Remember, first row, first set of beads is always 2. Encourage them down, like so. And then you don't necessarily even have to tie knots in these to secure your threads off. I just zigzag through and weave through my work. That is enough for me to feel like it is secure. You can obviously do your little half hitch knots. I'm going to show you all of that in a second. And then I just used, please don't knot, we're close to the end. I'm going to show you, I just used a soft gauge wire, so I used a 0.5mm wire to be able to make a wrapped loop, which then securely attached my little motifs onto my bookmarks. So yeah, you can do badges, you could do earrings, there's all sorts. Now, can you see that my beads up at the top here aren't quite sitting flush? So I'm actually going to take my needle through all of them. I'm going to come back up and through. Let's just position myself. Oh, went through the wrong one. I'm doing a little turn so that I'm now second bead along, which will mean I can come up and through these. So I'm just going to take my needle through all of these. Oh, here he goes. I wondered where Earl was this morning. I'm going to start barking away. Take my thread through, and that will just ever so slightly neaten up and position those in the right place. Now, let me grab my wire, because I'm going to do a little wrapped loop for you, attaching it onto the bookmark. Oh, I'm going to sacrifice this one and cut this one off. Okay, so on this one, I've got my lovely little, because we've done a flower, I'm going to put it onto my flower bookmark. Let's get some of this out of the way. Let's secure our threads so that we are happy to cut them off. So I'm just going to weave back through into the work, through the grid, so that it's going to secure, and you'll see that I'm zigzagging through kind of row by row. If you want to do half hitch knots, then you can hide them. So you can go underneath the thread path, tie a little half hitch. With this, I just find that zigzagging it is enough for me. You're kind of reinforcing some of that thread path. If at all there is any loose tension, then you can actually go back to that point and neaten it up. Let's see. I do hate threading a needle live with you, but hey, the thread gods are with me today. And then just taking your thread all the way through, making sure it doesn't loop on anywhere. Coming through your little thread path to secure it into place. You could tie a little like half hitch on the outside if you want to. And then I always turn around into the opposite position, because the likelihood of this thread coming all the way through, undoing all through that zigzag, is pretty slim to none. Taking my scissors, pulling that thread up, pushing my work down, which will give me a lovely little piece. And then this you can use, and I have to say it looks exactly like my little pattern. So you can see the bonus of having the grid sheet in such a large format as well is, of course, you can follow it easily. It's going to be super simple to see. Margaret, I'm going to try this morning as I have beads and a couple of bookmarks left from my stash. My not be as frustrating as crystal, bicone pendants, still not mastered it. Oh, they're really lovely, aren't they? Things like this, of course, come together a little bit faster than that as well. So it's, if you, Buddy can hear, Curly says, Camille. Good morning, Buddy. Something like this is actually quite a quick make. I mean, I've been rabbiting on for 40 minutes, but we didn't get started for a little while. So you can see a little quick half-hour make is going to give you a lovely end result. So 0.5mm wire, I'm going to add a pearl on as well. I'm going to create a little wrapped loop on the end. Or at least I would if I had my round nose pliers. Here we go. So you're going to take your wire a few centimetres down from the end, and I'm just going to wrap this wire all the way around. And I'm going to neaten this up. Now, I have done several tutorials on wrapped loops now over the last month or so. And it's going to make it super easy to follow. But hopefully, I'll do like a zooped up quick version of this now. If you would like to know how to make your jewellery with them, then you can go back and have a little look at those as well. So before I wrap this, I'm going to attach it onto my bookmark. Now, with your bookmark, of course, it's going to be held in the pages, it's going to be in the book, you're going to take it out every time you read, etc, etc. So it does have quite a lot of movement. Therefore, you do want it to be nice and super secure. So a wrapped loop really is the best way to go. I've got my little flat nose pliers. I'm going to take this little section of wire here and I'm going to wrap it all the way around the main body of this wire. So I'm just holding on to it, wrapping it through a few times. So I'm holding it flush with my round nose pliers and taking my flat nose pliers to wrap that around. And now you can see that's not gonna go anywhere. That is super secure. You can swing off this bookmark and that's not gonna go anywhere. Using my flat nose pliers just to pinch that in. And then we're gonna add a little bead as well. Hi, it's Sherry Ann. I hope I've said that well. It's my first time on your live. I really love your tutorials. I'm learning so much. Thank you. Oh, thank you for joining us. We've been doing this now, oh my goodness, it must be about 24 weeks, I think, since the 23rd of March. So if you go onto our Facebook page, Totally Beads, you'll be able to go back and have a look through all the videos, or if you go onto the website, and I'll show you it again in a moment for those who are new. If you go onto our website, you'll be able to find all of the bundles and materials and all of the videos from any techniques. And that way, it's a bit easier to kind of navigate through because you can actually pick by your favorite technique that you want to learn. So to create the wrap loop up at this end as well, I'm just going to give that a little nudge just to give me a little bit of wire above the bead itself. Rotate this around so that I now have a lovely little loop above my pearl, but I've still got enough space to be able to wrap this in. And I'm actually just going to go straight through my first seed bead. And that's how I'm going to attach it on. You could also do it with something like a jump ring, but I actually prefer doing it. I might need to make this loop a little bit bigger for my bead. I prefer doing it directly onto the bead. Now we'll be okay. Because with a jump ring, like I said, you want this to be super secure. With a jump ring, you're going to have that little bit of gap. It could possibly come undone. A wrapped loop for something that you want to be secure is the very best way to go. So I'm just holding that loop now in my round nose pliers, and we're just going to repeat the same thing that we did up at the top, but going the right way round. We flip this. I like to wrap my loops away from me. I just get that little bit more tension because I'm also pulling that wire nice and tight. And you can see I've got that little gap in between the bead and my loop, and that's what we're going to fill with the wire. Wrapping this around. It's a little bit harder when you've got the bookmark on, obviously, because it's in the way, but it's not impossible. And then I've got my lovely little wrapped loop with my little bead. Cutting off any leftover wire, keep that for later. And then I'm just going to, so that I can get in, I'm going to use my my round nose pliers. Can you see I've just got a little bit of wire? The wire was 0.5. No, this isn't 0.5. I guess it is 0.5. And there we go. There's your bookmark. Really nice and simple. This wire cannot be 0.5. That's quite a thick one. Oh, yes, it is, because it's the one I used for my French beaded flowers. So that is my bookmark. It's going to be super secure. I can wave this around and it's not going to come off at all because I've got my wrapped loop. And then, of course, it's just adding that really nice little handmade element to something. Just to recap on beads, I'm using the size 8 Toho beads. These are from our ombre herringbone. We've added those into the category today because for $14.99 down to $9.99, you will get 5 colours of your seed beads, 4 bags of each. And then you've also got extra clasps in there. You've got your needles. So if it's something that you know you want to do, the beads are just the best ones. We just found that that was the easiest way of giving you kind of mass beads so that you can start playing with them. If, when you get adventurous, you want to downsize, you can use, of course, your size 11s. So with the Little Mermaid, I think she's adorable. I added on a freshwater pearl coming out of a little oyster shell that I put on there. These were size 11 Tohos. Again, you can see uniformity. That is going to give you the best finish. For those of you who are now going to go and raid, you think you've got enough seed beads, don't want to buy any more, you're going to raid the stash in your cupboard. Just be careful of the beads that you are picking. Oh, bye, Doris. Got to go for an appointment. See you later. Many thanks for a good video. You're welcome, Doris. It was lovely to be back with you, and I'll be here tomorrow as well. The FGB beads that we have, so they are our fancy glass beads. That is the orange and the red. Not always completely uniformed. I used a Eslon size D seamer, so it's nice and thick. If you go down to your size 11s and your size 15s, you might want to use the A, which is a bit thinner because, of course, you've got multiple passes through some of those as well. Oh, Janet says, lovely demo, thank you. My order is in and paid for. Yay, well done you. And enjoy the download as well. Hope you added that free download in there too. FGBs, so they're not completely regular. These are the ones that we normally use to do things like my beaded flowers. So for weaving and such like, they're not ideal, but it's still doable. The yellow is a craft bead, and this is why we always say they're great for things like stringing, mass stringing, macrame, plaiting, lots of things that we've done over the last few weeks. Oh, Linda says it's my first time too. Really enjoying it. Thank you, Linda. I'll show you guys the website in a moment so that you can go and get your free download as well. So craft seed beads are not regular, which means for things like all those projects I just mentioned, they're great because they're inexpensive. But when you come to weaving, can you see, and boy, this annoyed me to make because it just wouldn't sit right. But I sacrificed it so that I could show you it because they just will not sit uniformly because they aren't uniformed themselves. But there you go. It's a fun little thing to do. So you can create lots of different shapes. I would love to see some of your pumpkins that you're going to be doing. I want to see some of these dogs that you're making. You've got, of course, your free download, so you'll be able to put any of your patterns in there as well. Print it off time and time again, have a little play, have a little colour in, and you can design anything you like. So, Diane is saying, Sarah, tomorrow, could you do the countdown to start so we don't miss the beginning? Yeah, Kitty started doing a countdown, hasn't she? Yeah, sure. I will add that in for you. I'll give her a ring later and find out how. Jane says, glad I caught you. This is great for Christmas making. Absolutely. You could do letters, you could do initials, you could do a really long strip that says somebody's name. There's so many different possibilities, and that's why I wanted to do the little sheet for you as well. Let me show you the website so that you can see exactly where to get it from, and then I'm going to give you a little sneak peek for tomorrow. So onto the website. These are the beads that we have for today. The size 8 seed beads if you need. You've also got your bookmarks in there as well. So just go on to the Totally Beads website. For those of you who are new to joining us, just joined the video, haven't been to the website yet. So it's totallybeads.co.uk. Categories, you're going to come down to Facebook tutorials. And then here you will find everything. So all of this week's videos, this month in fact, and then they're subcategorized into the months. So come down here, free PDF. You just click on that, add it into your basket, and that will get sent to you. And that is your grid. Oh, sorry. That is your grid sheet that I've been using today. So that will allow you to obviously design absolutely anything you like. So that's it from me today. It's been lovely being back with you after my little week away. Tomorrow, can't wait for this one. I'm going to be using Gem Duo beads. So they are a diamond shape double hole bead, and I'm going to make these lovely earrings. So they are quite large, but I like it. I think for autumn these are going to be really lovely. So I'm going to show you how to create lovely diamonds using the Gem Duo beads. You can then actually take these and kind of link them all together. You can use them as charms for a necklace. Lots of different takes on them. It's quite an intricate make. Sometimes making shapes with double hole beads are a little bit tricky, so hopefully tomorrow we're going to break that down and get rid of any of those fears as well. I hope you've liked the introduction to Brick Stitch. There will be lots more fancy shapes as time goes on. Maybe I could do a Halloween one for you, so that for those of you doing the pumpkins or things like that, I don't know, maybe we could have like a black cat and all sorts. I will see what I can do, and we'll do a little pattern sheet for you. Love to you all. Thank you so much for joining. I will be back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. And we will do the Gem Duo diamond earrings. Philomena says, nice to have you back. Hope you enjoyed your well-deserved week off. Thank you, and see you soon. Thank you so much. Thank you, Lucy. See you all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Saturday, whatever you may be doing. Stay safe, everyone, and I will see you tomorrow morning.